The stock closed right there and opened with a beautiful gap right there. The gap at the open was good for 25% gain overnight. Wow. Welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you a gap up method that you can use as an overnight holding strategy where you are anticipating that the next day at the open, a stock or a crypto, we can say, is going to gap up. So today, February 25th, 2022, we're going to be taking a look at the first two stocks in the US that are moving higher today. This is 1 day gain. The first one is up about 34% and the other stock is up about 25%. These stocks gapped up at the open today. The method is very simple. So if we take a look at the RSI and draw the key major levels, and of course 69.1, and I'll leave the rest. Okay, I'll just put them in here so we can have them. 30.9. The method is very simple. What you're looking for on the small time frames is, let's say on the hourly, so 60-minute chart. You can also use the 30-minute chart. And in the playlist that I'm going to include in the description of this video, I also talk about the 5-minute chart. All of these are valid. And what you're looking for is at the end of the trading session. At the end of the trading session, you want the RSI on these smaller time frames to be above this number. So very simple. Again, on the small time frames, you want your RSI as the market is closing for the RSI to be above 69.1, which tells you that the stock is closing for the session with a lot of power if the RSI does close above 69.1. So let's go take a look at the charts for those two leadership stocks for today's action. And I will also show you a bonus way of guaranteeing that you're looking at the stock situation correctly. And that is the stock, of course. In this example, I'm using RSI 14, which is the default. And you can see as of yesterday, by the way, yesterday was March 24th, 2022. And now we take a look at the RSI where it closed right there. Again, the RSI closed at 72, almost 73. And this is what it did in yesterday's session. So yesterday, it spent, in fact, the entire trading session yesterday was very powerful. Why? Because the RSI on the hourly stayed above 69.1 for the entire session yesterday. This is a sign of an instrument that could very easily gap up. It gapped up yesterday, which is what we are showing here. So on this day, it gapped up, which is the 24th. And as I'm always talking about, this RSI level is critical in understanding momentum. So at the close of yesterday, there was a sign that this thing could gap up based on what I'm teaching here. And in fact, if you take a look at the playlist, which I'm going to include in the description of this video, I've been talking about this since 2013, almost 10 years ago, and it still works. So now let's fast forward to today, the 25th of March 2022. Take a look at where your RSI is now. Take a look at what the RSI looks like. In fact, over the last 2 days, the RSI has maintained a strong stance with the RSI remaining above 69.1. Now, it's important to remember that I am not saying that by using this method with the RSI closing at the end of the session above 69.1, that you're always going to get this gap up situation. What I'm saying is you're going to increase the odds for a continuation of the late close from the previous session. As I said, I was going to give a little bit of a deeper insight. To understand this, again, let's take a look at yesterday, March 24th. Now we are taking a look at the daily. And again, we are using RSI 14. Take a look at where your RSI closed yesterday. Before today, on the daily, your RSI, take a look at it, was above 69.1. And remember the previous video where I was talking about the Muathe angle of penetration. Yesterday, this was very good, sharp angle of penetration. But I don't want to get off topic. You're going to find the video on my channel. So with a strong close yesterday, and keep in mind, even yesterday, there was a gap up right here. So the stock was already showing signs that it is in a mood to gap up. Yesterday, it gapped up, which was the 24th. So what I'm saying here is you need to have confirmation from the daily. Also, it's going to help if the RSI on the daily is above 69.1, showing that even day to day, there is upside potential for a gap up. Now, if I take a look at the same stock, with today's gap up, we can see that it had closed yesterday here at 481 and closed 5% at the open. And of course, has gone on to have a nice day. And now you can see where the RSI is trading. And you can see the consequence of closing above 69.1 yesterday, and also the sharp angle of penetration. But wait, there is more. The same stock is going to give us another example of gap up trading. Now, take a look at this chart going back to June of 2021. And what I would like us to focus on, obviously, there is this big move here in September of 2020. Big move. But that's not the key. Take a look at this angle of penetration, this angle of penetration, this angle of penetration, and all of these are moving above 69.1. Again, sharp angle of penetration movement here, sharp angle of penetration here, sharp angle of penetration here, same thing here, same thing here. In fact, we can even say same thing here. All these are examples of sharp angles of penetration. In other words, the stock tends to spike out of nowhere. That's what the stock is telling you. Now, again, take a look at the date. This is as of June 2021, as we can see right there. Now, let's go a few days after that, because notice what the RSI is starting to do. It is also showing a sharp angle of penetration as it moved above RSI 50. Movement with sharp angles above key levels is the secret that I'm sharing with you. So now fast forward 6 days later, June 7th, 2021. And remember, previously we had seen the RSI was doing this. But take a look at this action here. This is sharp angle of penetration as the stock moved above 69.1. And for the day, huge gap up right here. Huge gap up. And for the day, up almost 43%. Now that is beautiful. Again, this is on the 7th of June 2021. Notice the close of that day, at 82.5, your RSI solidly confirmed perfectly above 69.1. And the sharp angle of penetration just adds more secret ingredient. So what do you think could happen the next day? Potentially. Well, let's find out. So now we are here, June 8th, on the following day, where the stock had closed right there. That was the close. And then take a look at the gap up open. Gapped up that much. For the day, the stock was up 60%. And for the record, this gap up here overnight was good for about 23%. Now take a look at where the RSI closed. Close to 92. Now take a look at this sharp angle of penetration. Yeah, the method works. The Muathe angle of penetration. Links are going to be in the description for more information. Of course, after such a big move, gapping up 23%, it might be time to take a whole lot of profits. And why not? Because on the following day, the move was over for the most part. But we are more interested in what caused this eruptive move. And what I'm saying here is take note in the small time frames, and you need confirmation from the daily that your RSI is above 69.1. Let's take a look at the other example for today. Now remember, we are talking about the leading instrument for today in terms of percentage gain. It is right here. It is up for the day about 33%. A very welcome gain overnight. So if we go back to yesterday, March 24th, this is the hourly chart. This is where the RSI closed. This is what the RSI looked like on the hourly. Had a nice day yesterday. And oh, as a side note, if you can allow me, take a look at this RSI 50 uniform activity support for this re-entry. That's another thing that I talk about a lot. Uniform activity around 50. I've been talking about this for many years on the bigger time frames, but because the method is legit, it also works on the small time frame. Links are going to be in the description to other free YouTube videos discussing this RSI 50 phenomena. But let's get back to subject matter here. We moved above 69.1 yesterday on this hourly chart. So what that was telling us is there was a probability. Remember, we are only playing with probabilities because the stock could have conceivably, as an option, gapped down today. But we are playing with possibilities and probabilities. The fact that the RSI closed with a very strong show of power means that there was a leaning, there was indication. It was predicting the possibility of a gap up in the next session's open, which would be the next following market open. Again, this is yesterday. By the way, taking a look at the daily, your RSI yesterday was not above 69.1. So we don't get confirmation from the daily, as this is where the RSI was. But on the 4 hourly, at the close of yesterday, 4 hourly, take a look at where your RSI closed yesterday. And this was indication that there was possibility of a continued move. Remember, yesterday, the stock was up 27% and closed with its RSI on the 4 hourly above that magic inspired number of 69.1. By the way, if you are new to this number, let me show you where we get this number from. And by the way, if I don't forget, I'm going to have links in the description of the video explaining this method, but it all begins with this, what is called as the golden mean, Gauge ratio, or the Fibonacci series constant, 1.618, which in a sense is 61.8%. And we know that 61.8 plus 38.2 will give us 100%. So if we take 1.382 divide by 2, what do you get? You get 69.1. And there's many ways to arrive at this number. So yesterday we closed with the 4 hourly above 69.1. The hourly, as we have seen yesterday, also closed above 69.1, a thing of beauty. And today, on its way to being the top performing stock in the US market, the RSI is now close to 90. This is why I teach, and I've taught for years, about not being scared of instruments that are trading above 69.1. In fact, they are the most desirable. Why? Because they have momentum, and the charts prove it. This is the most desired level in trading. The secret is out. You now know. You are welcome. Thank you. By the way, all of this and more are on my YouTube channel for free. Lots and lots of methods that you'll never find anywhere else. Researched by yours truly. 20 years later, the methods still work. It's amazing. By the way, back on subject, the stock closed right there and opened with a beautiful gap right there. The gap at the open was good for 25% gain overnight. Wow. I tell you, in my opinion, this is the best ever overnight gap up predictor. More videos are coming, and so it is.